Gary Beck of El Toro, California, won this event in 1972 and 1973. Here in 78, he debuted a brand new look in Top Fuel racing. This is his new car. Let's compare it with his old car. Look at the wing placement, look at the engine placement, look at the driver placement, the general configuration of the body. Now compare this with the 1978 version. Notice how low the wing sits above the rear wheels. The engine placement itself much further out from the rear end. The configuration of the body designed to slip through the air a little better. A windscreen designed to protect Beck himself from the blast of air at over 230 miles an hour. In the first round of racing, Gary met up against the defending champion, Dennis Vaca. Side by side, you see the difference between the two cars. Vaca's car, very similar to Beck's old car. And in the first round, it's Gary Beck winning it at 6.09 seconds. His speed, 233 miles an hour. All eyes were on the starting line for this second round race. The world champion, Shirley Muldowney, was matched against her former crew chief, Connie Kalita. That's right, the man that had prepared the car that carried Shirley to the World Championship decided early this season to go racing on his own. And they were matched against each other in the second round of racing at the Nationals. As we saw they were going to run each other, we asked them how they felt about it.
I raced her a couple weeks ago, and I give her 2 driving lessons. 2 of them, one right after the other.
It's just another race, Jason. He's just another racer up there, and he better have his act together.
So they're on the starting line. Shirley Muldowney in the near lane. Connie Kalita in the far lane. A close race. And there it was, Shirley Muldowney defeating her former crew chief, Jeb Allen in the near lane, Kelly Brown in the far lane. Side by side, they leave the starting line. And the motor going away on Kelly Brown's car, and Jeb Allen, his hand in the air, waving to the camera. He takes the win in the winner's circle at this event just a couple of years ago. Richard Tharp, also a former world champion. Dixon, a little bit ahead at the start. And at the finish line is Larry Dixon, 6.07 seconds. The team is called the Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. Their names are Velasco, Cohen, and Oswald. We asked, which one is which?
He's good, he's bad, and I'm ugly. Dave, every time the funny car drivers suit up, so does a member of the NHRA safety safari in this special suit. Aluminized boots, a 3-layer suit, a sock for his head, a helmet to go on over that, and somehow the thought of a funny car fire is just a little less terrifying, knowing that Ronnie Wilson can go in and get the driver out.
And Ronnie Wilson was involved in one of the hottest fires ever seen at the Nationals. In qualifying, Gene Snow against Trip Shoemake. Shoemake qualified on this pass. He got very close to the center line, but that's not the story. The exploding engine is the story. You can see the parachute burned off. Ronnie Wilson headed towards the scene of the fire as Trip Shoemake fought to keep the car under control. All the emergency units rolled to the scene. Shoemake himself, using the onboard fire extinguishing system, knocked down the flames. The emergency crew getting to the scene just as he climbed through the emergency hatch on the top of the car. Still in the first round of racing, Ron Colson, driving the Hawaiian, ran against Billy Graham. Graham from Manhattan, Kansas in the near lane had a clutch explode, and you can see the parts and pieces bouncing on the racetrack. Colson taking an easy win as the clutch literally exploded inside the car. Once again, the safety safari crew racing to the scene. The car body being lifted up and Billy Graham himself getting out of the car. Beetle won the Nationals back in 1975 and would love to repeat, but he's got his hands full here. And it's Tom McEwen at the finish line, 6.18, a 6.18. He's supposed to be running Kenny Bernstein, but Bernstein has not shown at the starting line. Back in the pits, the body is off the car. Apparently irreparable damage done to the engine in the previous round of racing, so it will be a single and easy run for Ron Colson at the wheel of the Hawaiian. And Colson loses control and crosses the center line. That puts him out of competition. The rules read you cannot cross the center line or the outer extremity line, which in this case is the guardrail. And Ron Colson out of competition as the Hawaiian going out of control, unable to keep it in his lane. Even though no one was in the other lane, the rules still read you can't cross the center line. And there he goes, making a sharp move to the right. The U.S. Nationals is more than a drag race, and Steve Evans tells us why.
David, if you never saw a race here today, you could have a ball just eating. It's a county fair variety of foods. Polar sausage, Italian sausage, breaded beef tenderloin, fresh lemonade, pickles, you name it. For me, I'm going to help train a nurse with an ear of roasted corn here. I'll take that one right over there. Eat your heart out, McClellan. Enjoy your box lunch. That one would be just fine. Do we really help train a nurse doing this?
You're darn right we do. We've got 7 nurses in training now.
Well, that's good. Bring them on.
Steve, while you're enjoying that gourmet Indiana corn, we're getting ready for semifinal racing here at Indianapolis Raceway Park and the U.S. Nationals.
Tom McEwen calling out of his car, he said, I hope maybe Prudhomme would run over the center line and I wouldn't have to race anybody. Boy, that was a tough victory there, this last one.
They're all tough for me, the way I drive.
Were you worried a little bit about maybe crossing the center line like Colson did? That go through your head?
Yeah, I thought about it coming up, but this car is pretty good about that, you know, going pretty straight. And I wanted to run the opposite lane, figuring that's where I was going to be anyway. And Lombardo, of course, just smoked the tires and everything in it. So we went up, and I only ran it halfway down the track because I tried something a little different that time, and it seems like it worked pretty good.
Out of Whiteland, Indiana, comes Bob Clinton. Leaving the line together. But Clinton pulling ahead to a big win. Clinton 8.60, low elapsed time thus far for the Pro Stocks at 153 miles an hour. The next pair on the line, 2 Chevrolets. Lee Shepard in the far lane, Joe Satmary in the near lane. Texas versus Indiana, a close race. And at the finish line, it's Joe Satmary. 8.74 seconds elapsed time.
He won't split the money with you, huh?
He don't want to split the money. He's over here. He said he hasn't won a national event in about 48 hours. He's kind of down.
It should be a good race. You know, we've met many times this year, and you know, fortunately we've came out okay, but you never know. The cars can be turned. You know, Tom's liable to jump up and put us away, but we're going to be trying very hard, and I know he's going to be. So it'll be a tremendous last round.
Your guys are frantically working on the motor, yet you're over here fooling around with him.
Well, it's just going back together right now. We got plenty of time, and I'm just starting to take it a little easier instead of thrashing so much on the thing. I've been watching him, and it seems to work.
See, his biggest problem is he's not as serious a racer as I am.
The Snake and the Mongoose at it once again. We'll be back with the Nationals finals in just a moment. A lot of RPM, and they leave the line together. Glidden pulling an early lead. At the middle of the course, he extends it. And it is Bob Glidden winning the race. 8.61 seconds elapsed time. A speed of 146 miles an hour, indicating he shut it off early, backed out of it for the national championship in funny car. Prudhomme in the far lane. That has been the better lane in racing thus far later this afternoon. In the near lane, Tom McEwen. And they're off the line. And Prudhomme smokes the tires. McEwen pulling ahead. And it is Tom McEwen with the upset of the race. The crew just going berserk. Tom McEwen's crew members very, very happy as Tom himself winning it for the first time. These two cars have met 4 times before in the final rounds, and this is the first time that McEwen has won it, and an all-important race for him. For just 1 week ago, Tom's 14-year-old son passed away from leukemia. A great drag racing fan, and he liked nothing better than to see his dad, Tom McEwen, run against Don the Snake Prudhomme. And this time, it was McEwen prevailing. Here is Don Prudhomme going over to congratulate his longtime friend, Tom McEwen. The 2,000 horsepower engine sounding clean and crisp, and they leave the line together. Bruins and Garlett side by side, and it's Don Garlett winning the national title. 5.90 seconds at 241 miles an hour, just a tenth of a second behind at 6 seconds flat. At the same speed, 241 miles an hour, was Rob Bruins.
David, the 6 days that is, the U.S. Nationals has finally come to a close, but strangely enough, nobody seems to be leaving. I don't think they've recovered from the emotion that we witnessed, especially in these final rounds. Don Garlett's clawing his way through an incredible top fuel field over a smiling young guy. Rob Bruins, who has no regrets about losing that final round. Bob Glidden again proving his supremacy. The first ever pro-comp victory by a blown small block Chevrolet. But to me, the grand moment is Don Prudhomme and Tom McEwen. Their light, woody chatter before the final, and a motion-packed scene at the finish line as Tom McEwen wins his first ever U.S. Nationals, and he didn't back into it. A sizzling 6.05. I enjoyed it tremendously, like some 100,000 other folks. Thank you.